Hello. Yeah, you're able to hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Morning, sir.
Yes, sir. But
Yeah, good morning.
voice is little, sir.
Little okay. Yeah, I will just try to connect with another internet. Yeah, fine, good. So, is it audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. Yeah, good morning. So let us start the class with continuation of what we have discussed from the last class. Okay, so now I request some of you to summarize or to give some points that we have discussed in the last class.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, start.
Sir. Yesterday you mostly discussed about correlation and how we do correlation. With that, for that you have explained the dot product and all vectors and all you have taken example, and then
Yeah.
you shown difference between.
You can
Yeah.
stop here. We will
Okay,
ask.
sir.
We will hear
Yes,
from
correct.
other students. Yeah, request
Sir, we
other students
discussed
to speak out.
about
Yeah.
importance about phase. Sir. Phase is
Importance
important or
about
magnitude
phase.
important? Yes,
Right.
sir.
Right. So what does the phase capturing? So in signal, what is the phase, and in image, what is the phase capturing? You have seen.
So in signal, it is time delay.
Okay. Yeah, it's delay from say starting point, right? And then in image, what you have seen that the phase is capturing.
In an image, phase gives the shape.
Yeah, it captures the shape information. Good. Yeah. So fine. Next, some other student, I request to yeah, summarize or give the points that we have discussed. Other points.
So we discussed regarding the frequency, sir, wherein we were told that the rate of change of amplitude means
Right.
frequency, sir.
Right. So we discussed that the frequency is nothing but the rate of change of
amplitude.
Right. Very good. So the change in amplitude roughly is gives the information of frequency. Okay.
Sure.
So that is very important point. So in any signal, the rate of change in amplitude or the variations in amplitudes gives the frequency, gives a rough idea of frequency. So for absolute computations, we may use all this Fourier transforms and other things where we try to find. So now anyway, this is the next point I would like to hear from one of you. So what is the correlation, say what is the connection between the frequency and the correlation that I have discussed in the last class? Can some of you connect them? So there was a discussion on correlation in the last class. There was also a discussion on the frequency as variation in amplitude over time. So what is the connection
In
between them?
frequency domain, the magnitude is given.
Yeah.
The magnitude in frequency domain is given by the correlation of that signal, sir.
Right. Correlation of the signal with what?
If the signal is highly present, it will.
I want clear idea here. Yeah, voice is breaking. Who is speaking now? Yeah, I request any other student to tell.
It represents strength of correlation with respect to sinusoidal signal to that frequency. component.
Right. So the correlation between sinusoidal signal of a particular frequency and what?
And the frequency of the other signal which has to be correlated.
Yeah, and the signal at hand. Okay,
Signal
so the
at
signal at hand may have many frequencies. It not necessarily need to have only that particular frequency with which I am correlating. Okay, so when I am doing correlation with a particular sinusoid of a particular frequency, what I extract as the strength or the corresponding coefficient is the correlation coefficient in some sense, or the similarity coefficient, okay, of that particular frequency sinusoid with respect to the signal at hand. Fine, good. So that's what we have discussed in the last class. Any other thing that we discussed in the last class? Any other student just give one or two sentences on the other things that we have discussed in the last class?
Sir,
Yeah,
we are discussing regarding the design filters and time domains, sir, but we have not completed it. You had only just started it. Low pass
Yeah.
filter and high pass filter.
Okay, fine. So I asked a question to look at actually, especially students, many of you might have studied about the time domain, say systems. So moving average system, difference equations based system, and so on. So what is the connection between those systems and extracting different frequency components that we have discussed? A low frequency or high frequency and so on. That's what I just made a pass on comment to verify yourself, to connect them. So we will discuss at later point of time. Fine. So any other thing? I think there is one more important thing that is missing. I want somebody else who has not spoken today to speak out. M02, who is this? M002.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can tell? Yeah. Can you tell? So there is one small thing that is left out at the end of the class. Before the end of the class, what is that the discussion about?
Correlation, sir. Correlation with respect to
Okay, I am not
constants.
discussing on the content. So at the end of the class, there was some discussion that we had before closing the class.
Sir, is it the difference between convolution and correlation?
Yeah, that also we have discussed, convolution and correlation. What is the summary of that? So other than Manmeet, any other army officers? Either Pradeep or Girish.
So in that discussion, we had said that in convolution, we flip the signal and then multiply those two signals.
Right.
Whereas in correlation, we multiply the two signals to find the similarity between them.
Right. We multiply and add, put it at that point. So it's a dot product between signals that we do in some sense.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and inner product between the signals.
Yes, sir.
Whereas in convolution, we flip it and do the inner product or the dot product.
Sure.
So yeah, why does the convolution stem like that or stems like that? We will see in the subsequent classes. You people may know, but we will see more clearly in subsequent classes. Yeah, fine, that is good. So Girish, also I request to speak out. There is one more thing that is missing in the discussion that we had, quickly to wind up.
Sir, is it in regard of applications, sir?
Yeah, applications I said we will discuss in this class. So far we have not discussed, in sense, we roughly discussed, I said we will discuss applications and mini projects in this class. But before that, I think there is something else we have discussed, very important thing for you people.
Sir, it's a grading criteria.
Yeah, we have discussed about grading criteria, right? So, and one more thing that we have discussed other than grading criteria. So which is
Another
important
couple
for
of
me?
points.
Huh?
Another couple of points were we had spoken about zero frequency signal, and then in the end we discussed what importance of phase and amplitude.
Okay, that's all fine. So fine, we discussed about the outline of the course. Okay, say overall how the course goes. So we have discussed about the outline of the course also. So I think this time waiting room was created, right, in this Zoom meeting. So that's why I think you people are not able to log in directly unless I enable you to enter, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. No, I will try to remove it. So I think it will make my job and your job easy. Yeah, okay. Fine. So we have discussed the overall outline of the course. What will be there in the overall course? Okay. So now let us start the discussion. So I will share now the slides and we will start the discussion further little bit on the slides, and then we will move on to discussion on the signals and systems. Little bit of signals and systems. You're able to see the slides now? Are you able to see the slides?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Welcome back to the discussion on this today's lecture. So in this lecture, we will discuss on applications of signal processing, digital signal processing, and few pointers to the mini project. So because some hands-on exercise is very much needed in this domain, and also it will be helpful for you to overall do better. So we will discuss some of the pointers to mini projects that you can take up, or some small experiments, or the programming a little higher than the programming assignments that you can do. Okay, after that we will move on to the discussion on basic signals and systems in brief. Okay, so anyway, before my discussion, so now can you tell, so we have seen some of the applications of signals, signal processing, but to be more specific, okay, can you summarize quickly what application signal processing may have? So just I wish one point from each, say probably 4 or 5 points, different points I would like to hear. I don't want very specific applications, but I want the different things that can be done using signal processing. Can one of you start?
Sir, reducing the file size.
Okay, very good.
Compression.
It is used for compression. Very good. Next.
Sir, removing the noise, sir.
Okay, for removing the noise. Very good. Or enhancing a signal. Okay, good.
Sir.
Next. Yeah, I would like to hear quick points.
Majorly for frequency analysis, sir.
Yeah, it is useful to analyze the signals better, either in time domain or in frequency domain. So the different representations will help of the signals will help us to understand the content of the signal better. Okay, good. Next. One or two more points.
Improving the quality of.
Yeah, enhancing the signal that we have discussed.
Quality or performance.
Improving the quality or performance of a
image or anything, voice or something.
Yeah, in system, in any system. Okay, and further to add, yeah, okay. So further to add, better representation of signals also helps in better decision making later. Okay, so here are few points that we have discussed. So enhancing signal component in some parameters of the signal model are of usual need in many applications. Okay, and interpreting the signal in many recognition tasks, either speech recognition or image recognition or object detection, object recognition, or many recognition tasks, signal interpretation is very important. For that, either the better representation of the signal, either in the same domain or in different domain, is important. Okay, and separating, say when several speakers are say talking or discussing, separating the signal of one speaker from other, or separating signal from noise. These are all different important things that we do in as an application of signal processing. Other things are pre-processing in many of the systems. So even signal processing help us to do better pre-processing so that it avoids many of the consequences or difficulties either in aliasing or say missing the information or conditioning the signal. That means having a better signal for going to the system, and it also helps us in post processing. That means once we get the signal out from a system, in what way we can remove some of the small artifacts or small noise, etc., can also be done. And signal processing can be done in 1 dimension, 2 dimension, or multiple dimensions. Okay, so what are the 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional signal processing examples? 1 dimensional signal processing. Can I get a quick answers?
Speech signal processing.
Yeah, speech is 1-dimensional, and then
Image signal.
image is 2-dimensional, then
Video.
signal is a 3-dimensional, right? Good. So in each of these domains, signal processing plays a good role or very important role. In speech, for example, the enhancement, restoration, recognition, synthesis, all these are important. So even speech are in image processing. So restoration means if there is some, say if I know that because of some phenomena, say if there is a car moving here and if I capture through a camera, there is a blur. So I know that because of the each sensor element, instead of looking at one small exposure region, it has looked at 4 exposure regions and averaged. That's why this blur has come. So if I know the forward phenomena, then I can use it to restore or get back the information better. Okay, so that is referred to as restoration. Using the knowledge of degradation and helping that for better getting back the original signal or good quality signal, he refers to as restoration. It can also be used for recognition, synthesis, and so on. Okay, and communications, it is used for anyway, as you know, to modify signals in modulation, demodulation, or even design better systems, communication systems. It is also useful in processor design because based on the signal processing operations, you can design nice, say, signal processors, which will enable us to perform these operations in real time, also on embedded platforms. Okay, so it is also useful in other applications like seismology, satellite image processing, biomedical applications, aeronautical and astronautical applications, and so on, process control, monitoring, and so on. Okay, so in fact there are no bounds for signal processing. It is almost pervading in all the domains. In some domains it is very highly influencing or very widely used. In some domains it is partially used. So now we will see some of the related areas of signal processing. So since the applications of signal processing that are vast, so there are some developments done in different directions. So say for example, if some of the applications demand to analyze the spectrum of the signal very well, that means say in which frequency bands, whole system, communication system, for example, in some cases may be designed just based on different frequency bands. So which frequency band there is a signal, in which frequency band there is no signal, such information is very important. So spectral analysis and spectrum sensing deals with that. And in some cases, especially in speech mainly, and in images partially, modeling of the signal is important. So if I can model and say that all these speech signals has this model, then what I can say, any speech signal, if I want to compactly represent, or if I want to understand it better, or if I want to represent in say extract features, for all such things I can use this signal modeling. So that is widely used in speech and as well as partially in images. So this is done through some methods called linear prediction coding and so on. Similarly, there is a field called, or there is a there is another area in signal processing referred to as adaptive signal processing. So if I want to adapt any of the signal processing tasks in real applications or real-time applications, what will happen is, so time to time the things will keep changing. So I should adjust my signal parameters or the control parameters or the filter parameters or the system parameters based on the dynamics of the overall system and the signals that I capture comes in. So that is being dealt in adaptive signal processing. Okay, so there the main interest is, say if I want to do filtering based on the conditions of the system, I can change the way I filter. Similarly, the prediction and tracking. Similarly, there is another field because filter design plays an important role in extracting information. So there is a again, these are all usually offered as electives in signal processing course in general. So there is another field is filter design. So where I can design either digital or analog filters. And it will tell how precise guidelines on how exactly to meet the specifications. If I want to only filter a particular region or only enhance a particular region or enhance by this amount and attenuate by this amount and so on. Okay, so that itself is a very good design area. We will see few glimpses of it in this course. Adaptive signal processing, if time permits, we'll see few glimpses of it that as well. And multi-rate signal processing, it deals with how to, say for example, if I want to transmit signals, usually the signals when we acquire, we try to acquire to our best. That means we don't want to miss any information. So we acquire with very high sampling rates. But when we want to transmit very high sampling rates, when we acquire, the number of samples will be very high. So transmitting those many samples is very difficult, and it is like a burden to the transmission process. So what we do is, so we transmit only compressed signals, and from the compressed signal are downsampled signals, and from the downsampled signals we would like to get back the original signals. Okay, so upsample there or interpolate there. So in this process, how do we design without missing some information? So up to what minimum extent we can downsample, so without missing any information. That is a very important criteria. Or should I always sample uniformly, or is there a provision to non-uniformly sample or not? So that is another design criteria, and so on. So there are very several design criteria. And even while sampling and reconstruction, can I use other than a simple procedures? Are there any better ways of say sampling and reconstruction filter bank design? That means a filter bank that samples, a filter bank that designs, that reconstructs. So yeah, meaning that I need not have a single sampler. For each frequency band, I may have different samplers. So can I design like that, and will I get any advantage with that? That all is being dealt either in multi-rate signal processing course, partially in filter design course. Mostly in multi-rate signal processing course. And there is another extended a field, that is radar signal processing, because many of the measurements from satellites and remote measurements are measured, remote sensing based measurements are through radar signals. So how do we do processing there? How do we extract information from radar signals? And all these are important. In fact, underwater signal processing is also now coming up as very important field. So similarly, now there is another field called, another allied area, that is statistical signal processing. So most of the real operations can be captured as a random signals rather than the conventional signals. So when they are including the speech, if they are random signals, that means they will have some distribution overall. That means they have some characteristics overall, but time to time, the values, explicit values, if you see, they will be different. That means I can say that they all the time, if you see their histogram, okay, their distribution roughly is Gaussian. That roughly follows. But the samples, each individual samples, if I see, every time it will be different. Okay, so that such signals are called random signals or random processes. Such for how do we deal signal processing concepts under such random signals is mainly dealt in statistical signal processing. It also does under estimation theory concepts, that is how do I estimate in a real scenario a system, or even detect a signal or not. So estimation and detection is also as a part of statistical signal processing. And anyway, since based on the importance, there is a speech signal processing and image signal processing. These are also very well offered as good electives, and they also have their own concepts and applications and methodologies developed over. And signal processing and machine learning now is also very important, since there is a nice connection between signal processing and machine learning. So many of the signals, after in say extracting some information, if I want to interpret well, or if I want to make a decision out of it, or if I want to make a say very good inference out of it, or even if I want to control them better, some system based on the signal, all I need is to take a decision through learning. That is through machine learning we can do it. So these are all the allied important areas usually offered as electives. So those who would like to scale up yourself later, you can see the scope of understanding either of these or few of these. Okay, so this we have discussed in the last class. Outline of the course. This also we have discussed on the grading criteria. So midterm, I said 25%. Midterm will be for 1.5 or 2 hours. So we will have 25% marks for it. So and then programming assignments and Viva will be for 15 marks, 15% of marks, and class test 10% of the marks, mini project 20% of the marks. So mini project, you can, I will give some pointers now, and you can slowly start on it. But better to start slowly. So if you postpone completely, you will have a problem, because I think once the midterm comes, you will have no time almost. So midterm to final exam will be short usually. By that time, enough assignments may be in pipelines. So it is better you start looking at what you can do, or how to get to set yourself to do something in this course. And final exam is for 30%. Okay, and total is 100%. So based on the how the course goes, we may make small adjustment here. For example, if more programming assignments are given, so then we may shift 20% to programming assignments and 15% to mini project. Okay, so like that we may make a small readjustments here based on the how the course goes. Okay, so a few topics are the few guidelines or pointers to mini projects I will give here. So here separating, say for example, as I said in the previous discussion, we discussed many of them, but I will just give a little more specific things here. So one is how do we separate one or two more signals in speech, or say when there is a speech and noise, when there is a big room where there are some noises and speech, how do we separate this? Okay, so there are several methods for it. So those who are interested can start looking at a typical methods for source separation, etc. So you can take one of the good method and you can show it to me. For any mini project selection, what I suggest is initially you do a little bit of literature survey. Meanwhile, I will also try to give some papers or the references where you can easily get started on this, but don't expect to wait for me because I may give it at a little later point of time. And I encourage you people to look at yourself to gain your interest and say understanding. Even if you come up to me and say that this is the paper I would like to go for a mini project, just send me by mail. Okay, I will just check it once. Once I say fine, you go ahead, because I think if you start something and if you are stuck in between and it will be difficult for you itself. So rather, if you intimate me a little ahead and if you then take it, it is, I can also suggest at that time of taking itself. And also we will see that it is beneficial to, in some sense, that will help in your main projects, or those who wish to scale up for their main projects. Okay, so the other things are enhancing the signals, that is denoising the image, denoising the speech signal, so and then restoring the speech signal or image signal, and so on. Compressing the signals, either image signals or speech signals, and then non-uniform sampling and representation. So uniform sampling may say if you sample, so there is a theorem called sampling theorem, right? So what does sampling theorem say? Can I have a quick answer? What does sampling theorem says?
So the sample frequency cannot be more than twice the sample frequency. Sorry.
Yeah, I need a quick answer from other student as well. especially those who have recently done BTech. So keeping quiet yourself is not good for this question.
That sampling
Sir,
frequency should be less than Nyquist criteria.
No, that is not then. So you should define completely. See, Nyquist criteria again. I should ask, what is the Nyquist criteria?
sir, I will do.
Yeah.
Sir, a band limited energy signal can be sampled and reconstructed when the sampling frequency is less than or equal to the twice the message frequency.
Twice the
Message frequency, that is 2 FM. 2 FM is the low pass signal.
No. See again one more is the definition.
Twice the maximum frequency of the message signal.
Right. Right. So the sampling frequency Fs has to be less than or equal to the sampling frequency cannot be it has to be less than or equal to twice the maximum frequency in the message signal. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So it is not the message signal will have several frequencies. Among that, we will see for maximum frequency. And as you said, the message signal has to be band limited to get it reconstructed. Otherwise, you can't reconstruct because there is no maximum frequency there. Maximum frequency is infinite. Okay. So then the sampling frequency Fs has to be less than or equal to twice the maximum frequency of the message signal. Correct? So that is what the sampling theorem says. Okay. So however, what this non-uniform sampling tells is, see, if I take uniform samples, whatever you have said, valid. That means, so you should have the sampling frequency has to be lesser than the twice the maximum frequency to reconstruct. But through non-uniform sampling, even if you sample at smaller rate or lesser rate, still you will be able to reconstruct. Okay. So that means you can go even higher sampling rate. Okay, higher sampling rate means you will get less samples. Okay, even with less samples, you will be able to reconstruct the signal. Okay, that's what non-uniform sampling can do with proper design. Similarly, there is a field called compressive sensing and reconstruction. That is also one of the, say, in 2014, I would say, it is a very booming field in signal processing. What this compressive sensing says is, you need not stick to sampling frequency. So it doesn't even tell non-uniform sampling and all. It gives a random sampling from the signal. In some sense, it is not completely random sampling, but it gives a random combination of samples, and then says that if you properly take this random combination of samples, you will be able to reconstruct the signal back even much lesser than the Nyquist rates. Okay, so this is built upon the assumption that if the signal is sparse, that means the number of non-zero samples in a given signal are less, then you don't need those many samples to reconstruct. That's what it says. Say if I have a sinusoidal signal, usually sinusoidal signal in frequency domain, if I see, so how many samples will be there in frequency domain for a sinusoidal signal? Say I say cos omega naught t. Okay, so where omega naught is say some 1000 Hz. Okay, 2 pi into 1000 Hz. In that case, how many samples will be there in frequency domain? Can one of you tell?
2, sir.
Yeah, 2. Where they will be?
Yeah, one at positive side and at negative side.
Yeah, at minus 1k, okay, and at minus k. Sorry, plus 1k. Correct? So you will have 2 samples. This is the spectrum you will get for sine or cos 1000 Hz signal. Okay, 1000 into 2 pi into t. Okay, for such signal. So when you have this, how many samples are there in this in frequency domain? So this is in frequency domain. In frequency domain, if I see this cosinusoidal signal, how many samples are there? How many samples means how many non-zero samples are there? You're not able to tell?
Yes, sir. There are only 2, right?
Yeah, only 2 non-zero samples. This is just a axis. Okay, so there are only 2 non-zero samples, remaining all zeros. So you can, what compressive sensing says is, this is very sparse signal. That means only very few non-zero samples. So you can reconstruct it very well by using very less number of samples. To get a sinusoidal signal, even it extends from infinity to infinity, you just need very minimal number of samples. That's what the compressive sensing says. Okay, so that is not just useful for sinusoidal signals. For any arbitrary signal which is sparse in some of the domain, not necessarily even in time domain, you can reconstruct with much lesser number of samples. Okay, so there is a theory and mathematics and all those things behind it. So that is the field called compressive sensing and restoration. Okay, similarly, those who want to understand something on communication and apply, so there is a good opportunity to apply some of the signal processing techniques in communication, either for signal conditioning, pre-processing, and so on. Okay, so similarly, say in filter design, say usually what will happen based on what you heard of anti-aliasing filter, notch filter, and so on. So those who have heard, can you please tell what it is? Anti-aliasing filter, any of you have heard or not? What is aliasing? Aliasing you have heard or not at least?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The anti-aliasing filter will remove the higher frequency components in a band limited signal.
Right.
In order to make it band limited.
Correct. So especially aliasing means if the frequency content is high, that means if the high frequencies are there, but if I use small sampling rate, okay, then what will happen? There is a mix of information in frequency domain. We'll see in more details later. Okay, but there is a mix of frequency content and which you cannot get back the original signal back. Okay, in such cases, rather than messing the whole signal in frequency domain or mixing the whole signal in frequency domain, it is better to remove the high frequency contents and then go to the and then design and then you go for the sampling and reconstruction. So okay, so that is being done by anti-aliasing filter. Similarly, notch filter will remove particular frequency and so on. Okay, so this is also you can consider in some, say you can take some signal, you can corrupt with some noise, say you can take a speech signal, you can corrupt with some kind of noise, sinusoidal noise, you can remove it. It is just a small experiment, but I think it is good. So you can extend it further. In real scenarios, there is many speech signals. Okay, you can take them. There are affected with car noise, okay, street noise, and so on, babble noise, and so on. So how to remove them? That is the important. That you can do either through filtering or through slightly different ways. Similarly, in transform domain analysis of the filters, you can take short time wavelet transform. Short time Fourier transform, wavelet transform. There are so many transforms that have come based on the application need. Curvelet transform, contourlet transform, ridgelet transform. These are all used for some in image processing, some in signal processing as well. So especially if I want to reconstruct the curves well or the contours well, I need some kind of transform to apply. So unlike the usual transform, it may have slightly different things. So if you would like to take one of such thing as mini project, you can understand what it is, you can code it, you can show on small signal and compare to conventional Fourier transform or short-wave Fourier transform, what is its advantage you show, that is good enough. Okay, no need to demonstrate on any real application, but even on some small signal, if you can show it, that is good enough. Okay, for such new things when you want to explore and learn. Okay, so in image processing analysis, there are plenty of problems and you can do many things. So you can identify, say, a particular pattern where it is. If I take an image, how many rice grains are there in it, for example? How many coins are there in it? How many objects are there in it? And so on. You can do many things. Okay, so similarly, image restoration. So as I said, if it is corrupted with noise or blur, how to remove it? Okay, and on the top of this, so those who wish to explore a little bit of machine learning, starting from this semester, you are quite welcome. Okay, you can take some of the signals and say you can classify. Say you take either image signal or speech signals. Say from the speech signal or voice signal, you can say who is the speaker. Okay, so you need to convert first this speech signal into some coefficients called frequency, like Mel frequency capital coefficient features, or some time frequency features, And after that, you need to apply some of the classification method, simple classification method you can apply, and then say that if there are 20 speakers and 100 speeches, 100 voice signals or speeches, you can tell that these 10 corresponds to this person or 5 correspond to this person and so on. That is the classification of signals or speech signals into speaker identification. Similarly, you can also do for images. If I give you some character digit images, you can say that these 5, this is 5, this is 0, or even handwritten digits you can put into one of the category. Okay, so that is another application of image processing connecting to little bit of machine learning. Okay, similarly, recognizing a person's or faces, you can do that also you can try. So face recognition from the faces images, that there are, for each of them there are good data sets. Those who specifically want to take a particular topic can let me know. I will give you the related resources. Meanwhile itself, I may give some hints or some slides where you can get the data sets and other things or to explore yourself. But if you specifically wish to do some know more on any of these topics, you can let me know. That I will probably help you there. Similarly, say designing correlation or decorrelation filters. So a particular, say if I especially source separation, if I want to just find a person voice in 3-4 voices, I may in some sense want to correlate my voice with respect to the somehow I will separate through some eigen decomposition or whatever to all the major components of the speech in our voice in a mixed voice, and then I can do some correlation and identify. Okay, this can also be used in designing some nice algorithms. And graph signal processing, there is another field that is coming up, and it's I think a few years of development, with few years of development, recent developments, that is graph signal processing. How do I do the things where say usually people deal in all network analysis, networks and all, so they have several nodes and then they would like to analyze the big system, even say all Facebook accounts. If I want to say there are several nodes, some are connected, some are not connected, so is it remotely connected, what is the connection length from here to here, minimum connection length, so all these things may be important. Some such things can also be done through little bit of application of signal processing concepts, even FFT or any other things, frequency and so on. So that is usually understood and dealt in graph signal processing. Okay, so these are all the different topics that you can explore, and you can take up one of them and learn more based on your interest and need and other things. Okay, so any questions on this so far that we have discussed? I will be moving on. So no questions? Okay. So this is these are these are expected outcomes. So these are for you to check yourself. So by the end of the course, we expect that you will be able to understand and perform many of these signal processing operations, okay, through programming as well. And you will be able to formulate if for any given problem or a given context, how to build a system level and how to analyze it through proper signal inputs, that you should be able to do it. Okay, and how to analyze the signals in frequency spectrum, magnitude or phase spectrum. Okay, and then in time frequency domains, etc., you should be able to know it. And a few developments in this area you should be aware, and some you should be very familiar as well. Okay, that are the expectations. So these are the references as we discussed in the previous class. So the first one I will be following mostly. Okay, second, this one I may be following only very little, but I think you can just mostly, I think this is sufficient. If you have this, I think these are now, if I follow anytime, I will tell. Okay, so if you want to learn MATLAB, I think those who already have familiarity, I think you know that it is through help itself you can learn a lot. Okay, so I have some warm-up exercises in MATLAB. So usually this course and lab will go together. So during that time I used to give warm-up exercise for learning the MATLAB. So if you people are also getting to learn, I can give that warm up exercises for you. So you can do it. They are not signal processing exercises. They are just array handling vectors, arrays, matrices, loops, and then small problems, etc. in MATLAB. Okay, how do you do it? Say in a matrix, if I want to take some piece of submatrix, if only a particular column or a particular row, how do I do it, and so on. So matrix multiplications, related stuff. So I will give that to you. Those who are interested can do. I think if you have any doubts in that also, probably our TAs will clarify. Okay, so these are the video lectures by Openham. You can see the video NPTEL video lectures by different people. So in this presentation, that's all. So you can now tell your if you have any questions in this. Otherwise, we will move on and discuss for another 15 minutes or so on slightly on signals. Is it fine? Any questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, very good. Ask.
Sir, by what date should we have to send you the mini project title?
Yeah, good. So today is 4th, right? So we expect that probably by 20 you freeze it, 20 of this month. So 15 days you will have time. So in this 15 days you can scale up yourself. So by 15th itself you may be able to give, but what I suggest is you give me by next Friday. Okay, at least the area that you would like to, you should at least ask me for more information in any of the area. In fact, you can call and ask, or you can mail and ask. Either is fine for me, because the class is small. And also what I suggest is, once you I request Vaishnavi to circulate a sheet like we usually do for writing the mini project options or titles.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Today I'll send.
Right. So in that sheet, what we will do is so some topics and references as well she will give probably. Okay. So along with this topic, some references also we may be able to give. So you can see it and roughly you tentatively plan for some things. And then if you wish, you can also have a small session with either with me or with our TAs, Vaishnavi and Suravardhan or Sumant. Okay, and Sumant. So we can even discuss in one of the class. So in next say week, we can discuss on some Tuesday class or sometime to know your say what are the areas you are looking for and so on. Okay. So next week you can use 1 week to just get a brief idea in which direction you would like to go. Another week to understand more on that area, little more. And even if you want to change the area but learn more, you can do it. And you should be able to complete in that week about it. And by 20th you should be ready with say what you wish to take it up, roughly. That is the expectation. Okay. So meanwhile, what I will do is I will give mostly today. So we will send some of the problems, problem sheet kind of thing, or warm up exercise in both signals and systems, and as well as in programming for MATLAB. Okay. So both are in some sense a start exercises. So I strongly recommend that you submit the signals and systems assignment. So that also probably you can submit by 15th. So 4th we are giving roughly 10 days time. So 15th you plan to submit that. So that that is mostly you may know from your signals and systems course itself, even not in signal processing. But others, those who have not had recent touch or need to spend some time. And all as well. So do it yourself and be comfortable with that, so that you will set in basic topics, and it will also help us to go smoothly for subsequent topics. Okay, so these two warm-up exercises mostly we will send by today. Okay, fine. Yeah, any other questions? Oh, no questions? If you have no questions, I will move on. Okay, so we will discuss only up to signals now, because the time is not very. You do anyone have class next class first?
No, sir, we have no class today.
Okay,
This is the
good.
last class.
Yeah. Okay. So if there is no other class, I will take another 15 minutes, 20 minutes now. Is that fine?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yeah, fine. Okay. So
Probably
anyway,
I think others also can answer.
yeah, right.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, fine. Okay.
Okay.
So especially what I will do is, at the initial time, I may need little more time to set the things. See, because some of the topics are revision for you people, and even if I teach, if I take little more time, you will not be you will not be loaded up with more content to be done. Taking me more time only will help us to get the things set reasonably quickly. Once we reach the content where you people might not have seen before, or not quite, are very familiar, then we go in a regular fashion. That means if I take, for example, say among the in the week time, if I take 2 classes for 1.5 hour, I may even leave the third class. Okay, so that is fine, because I think since it is online class, so if someday when I start the class, I may take more. If I take more, and if you also listen to me on that, on 1 or 2 days more, then we can skip the third class. Okay, so there is no very strict, these are roughly we follow the schedule that is given for our timetable, but based on the convenience of each of us, and based on the requirement of the course, we may take little more at some point of time, less some point of time. Okay, so at the initial times, be ready to spend little more time, so it will be helpful for you and as well as for me. Okay, because I think you will all be set in a better way for subsequent discussions. Okay, so I am sharing now the notes where I can write the notes. So you're able to see the notes here, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine, good. So now we will start with some discussion of signals. Okay, so this is anyway discrete time signal processing or digital signal processing course. So some of the basic signals you should be able to know. So first start with some of the basic signals. So can each of you tell one basic signal just to have a continuity? I will write it here. Yeah, what is the first
Unit step signal? Impulse signal.
Yeah, impulse signal. So to start with, we start with an impulse signal. Okay, so usually how do you write impulse signal? Delta of n. Okay, it is a discrete signal. Okay, how is it defined? Those who have said impulse can tell. Yeah. So how is it defined, this impulse signal? Quickly tell, actually. You should not take time when you know.
Equal to 1.
1 at 0, otherwise 0.
Yeah, for n equal to 0. Okay.
1.
0
for otherwise.
Okay, for all other n. Okay, so when n equal to 0, it is 1, otherwise it is 0. So discrete impulse I am not discussing here. It is there in the notes I have sent. Okay, So this has come from this idea of this continuous impulse. I'm not discussing here. The idea of this impulse has come from discrete impulse has come from continuous impulse function. Okay, so why the name impulse has come for this?
Because it is sudden.
Sudden.
Yeah, it appears suddenly and vanishes. Okay, that's when it is an impulse function. Okay, we call it as impulse function. Okay, so here we can say it is impulse signal, but in time domain that is usually called as impulse function. Okay, because it rather than, you can't define it by value, but there you will define it by its properties. Okay, so that is integral over minus infinity to infinity is 1 there. So that is for discrete. Here that is for continuous. Here for discrete, what is the property we say? Summation over n or k minus infinity to infinity. Okay, delta of k is equal to 1. Okay, that is also valid here. Okay, so but it is very clear, so no need to even get into this. Okay, so this is the so is this discrete signal, discrete impulse, it may exist, because I think I can just generate for a while, I can stop it. But in practical scenarios or in continuous impulse function, there is a big discussion that it doesn't really exist, because no one can give for 0 point of time any non-zero quantity of signal and take it out. Okay, so that's why people usually denote it with, say, those who remember continuous impulse. Okay, sorry, this is T and this is, so if I write something wrong, okay, you please tell immediately and I reward. So if you can tell, so in between, so we will see in what way to reward, but we will reward. Fine, but it's good to, if I miss something, telling it is good, but for the benefit of whole class. Okay, fine, good. So this is the continuous impulse function. There we just usually define delta t, and this delta t we say that it tends to 0, and its height we say that it tends to infinity, and so on. And the properties are integral delta t over dt, okay, is equal to 1, we say, from minus infinity to infinity. Okay, we define like this. We leave this discussion on continuous delta function because that's not very important for us, okay, for now. But I suggest you can go through my notes and get more details on it, and you can also go through the book and get more details on it. So this is discrete impulse is fine for now. Okay, so now what is the next signal?
Step signal, unit step.
Unit step. Okay, so what is unit says here? It's impulse I have written, but it is unit impulse. Okay, what is unit saying here? Unit is given attribute to what?
An amplitude.
Yeah,
amplitude
unit
is 1.
is the attribute for the amplitude. Unit step. Okay, signal. So how does it look like? So what do you denote with?
Sign of impulse.
Yeah, U of n.
Sign of impulse.
Keep telling different students. Okay, so if you tell impulse, you relax for a while, but keep be ready with answer, but no need to tell here. Okay, give chance to the others. So U of n, how is it defined? Yeah, quickly speak out, in sense that if I
1
ask,
for n greater than 0.
yeah, 1 for n
Greater than 0.
Greater than 0 or greater than or equal to 0?
Greater than or equal to.
Yeah, greater than or equal to. And then how does it look like? How does it look like?
Sudden jump.
Yeah, sudden jump from 0. Okay. So my drawing may not be perfect, don't bother about it. And so on. Okay, it's all there. So it's all there. Okay, so height is 1. Okay, and till 0 it is 0. -1, -2, and so on. Okay, so this is unit step function. Fine. At 0 also it is 1. Now what, say, given these two, Okay, we just want to say how to write one in terms of the other. Okay, so can someone tell how do I write u of n in terms of delta n now? I want to write u of n in terms of delta n. How do I write it?
So u of n is equal to summation of k
Yeah.
is to minus infinity to n del of k.
U of n is equal to summation of
K is minus infinity to n,
okay
yeah, del of k.
del of k. Okay, oh fine, good. So this is one yeah, this is one definition. Okay, good, this is one definition. Okay, why is it correct? Because I think for anyway k less than 0, say n less than 0, this whole thing is, the summation is only on negative values, so delta is 0, so you will get 0. If it is for positive values, delta will be 1 only and n equal to 1, so it all will be 1 only. Okay, it won't keep increasing. Okay, so this is one definition. So I want some other student to tell another definition. Is there any other way of defining this? Another student. So if only 2-3 people speak out, I think it is not good for the class.
Sir, it's from k equal to 0 to.
Yeah, Madan, again you are telling.
Madan, it's Vishnu Karthikeya, sir.
Yeah, hey, Vishnu Karthik, tell. You are also telling
I
frequency.
stopped, sir, actually. I'm
Yeah.
not talking now.
Yeah. So who else will tell? Nikhil? I think I have not heard of Nikhil. So it is better if you just on your camera and speak also. So I will know just while speaking only. You can on your camera and speak, and then you can off. So it gives me clarity on who is speaking, and I will also recognize well.
Today Nikhil is the first class.
Nikhil is first class.
First, yeah.
Oh,
Last
what happened?
two classes.
What
Last
happened,
two
Nikhil? Can I
classes
see
he
you
didn't
now?
attend, I think so.
Yeah, can I see you now? Or can I listen to you? So Suravardhan, you share the attendance to me over Google Drive. I would like to see daily who is attending, not attending. So in fact, I should not look at it, but I think it's needed. Yeah, Nikhil, you are there or not there at all? So if you just be log in and then you leave also, I think we'll keep absent. So if you are not replying by 2 calls, it means that you are absent. Okay, so you can note Suravardhan like that. So no harm in that.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah. I think it is good for you to participate, right? So it's not my class. It's my class to teach, but your class to use. Yeah. So any others? Hari, can you tell? Hari is there or not? Oh, so if I can't listen to you people, then I should ask every time to put on your cameras.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hari, you can tell. Is there any other way of writing u of n?
Summation k equal to 0 to infinity.
Okay.
Del of n minus k, sir.
Del of
n minus k.
Okay. So del of n minus k, you are finding at n. Then summation you are saying from
0 to infinity.
0 to infinity. So if you do summation from 0 to infinity, so what? Okay. So if you do this, what is that you are getting? So n minus k. So if you are say n is negative, then anyway these are all negative values. So it's not on. Okay. If it is greater than 0, then I think one value is there, k equal to 0. And if it is whatever is the n,
if k value is 1, it will shift, sir, to first one.
Yeah.
Depending on k value, it will be adding up.
K value is, so n value is 2. Then it means that what is it doing? Yeah, is it correct? Is the limits, are the limits correct? This is fine, but I'm just figuring out, wondering about the limits.
Correct only, no issue.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So even if I do it from say minus infinity to infinity, then what will happen? Why
Yeah,
should
both
I
are same, sir.
to infinity? Even from if I minus infinity to infinity, if I do, anyway delta n will be only 1 for n equal to 0, remaining all non-zero, right?
No, sir. If we take negative values, then it will shift towards left side also, sir.
Right. So the problem is that even for negative values, you will get the positive values. Correct? Fine.
Yes, sir. If k equal to -1, then at the position of -1, we will get an impulse.
Correct. Correct. So fine. Good. So I think this is fine. So okay. Fine. Okay. So now see the other way we want to write. We want to write delta n now. Okay. In terms of u of n. Who will tell? So we want to write delta n in terms of u of n.
Delta n is equal to u of n minus u of n minus 1.
Right. Very good. Okay. U of n minus u of n minus 1. Okay. So good. So these are all the things you should know. You should understand clearly and you should know also and picturize. Okay. So now let us see the next signal. So next signal is what? Can I hear from someone else?
Ramp signals.
Ramp signal. Okay. So we will not discuss much on this. Okay. We will just discuss and leave. What is ramp signal? How do we write it? R of n equal to?
N, sir.
Yeah. R of n equal to n?
N greater than or equal to 0.
Yeah. So R of n, U of n we can write. Okay. Since you know U of n already is defined. Okay. You can write R of n into U of n. Or you, for a definition, as you said, R of n equal to n for, okay, n greater than 0. R equal to 0, 0 else. Okay. So this also you can write. Fine. So next signals, important class of signals. Sinusoidal signals. Okay, we'll write with cos. Fine. So how do I write cos signal? So from now on I will write x of n. Okay. So how do I write cos signal? Cos omega naught n. What is this omega naught? For n greater than 0 also I can define, or in general also I can define. Okay. So how do I write this? Cos omega naught n. What is omega naught here? What is omega naught here?
2 pi by t.
2 pi
divided by t.
2 pi divided by t. This is discrete signal. Yeah, 2 pi divided
by n.
Or 2 pi into f naught I may write. Okay. So some frequency into n. Okay. For n greater than 0. N greater than 0, how can I write better? So usually we don't want to write the signals with conditions. Okay. So we want to write the signal without having a specific condition being attached to it. So that means directly I would try to write in terms of other signals, but without having a explicit condition writing here. So how can I write this better now?
U of n, sir.
U of n. Okay, fine. Good. So this is in general, even if you have you can have sinusoid without having the U of n, that is from minus infinity to infinity also you can write. In that case, it is sinusoid cos omega naught n. Okay. So now as an exercise, what I suggest you people to do is, see if you write cos signal, see if you sketch it for a particular say one period. Okay. So for example, if I give cos 2 pi into f naught into n. Okay. So I may say f naught equal to some some 1 for example, as a simple example. Now what I want to do is, so you can sketch it for different values of n. First you can take f naught equal to 0, okay, then f naught equal to 1 you take, and f naught equal to 2 you take, okay, and then f naught equal to 3 you take, f naught equal to 4, and so on, okay, and take up to say f naught equal to 8 or so, okay, or 7. You take them and then plot them and see how do they appear. Okay, so from here what I wish to observe you people is how the frequency is related to the plot that you have plotted. Okay, so in the previous class, how did we define frequency? Did any of you remember?
The rate of change of time.
Yeah, the rate of change
of
of samples, amplitudes with time we have defined as the frequency. Okay, so now you just check with respect to say f naught equal to 0, f naught equal to 1, and so on. Okay, how does the rate of change of samples will happen with respect to this f naught? Okay, and then try to see whether the concept of frequency that we, or the definition of frequency that we have given in the previous class can be interpreted some with this example or not. Okay, so in addition to the previous definition that we have given in the for frequency, if you explicitly plot for a cosinusoidal signal, you will also see another thing that happens. Okay, so another definition that we can give for the frequency. Okay, just I wish you to do this exercise by the next class and come back. Okay, we will discuss it in more detail in the next class. Okay, so you can sketch, you can take any cosinusoid, you can take even a simpler cosinusoid where you have actually the, say you can have a specific number of samples, say for f naught equal to 1, if you have say 8 samples. Okay, so then you can easily visualize what will happen when you change f naught equal to 2, f naught equal to 3, and so on. Okay, you can take even such a cosinusoid where you have n samples, or the periodicity of the cosinusoid is say in some sense capital N equal to 8. You can take such cosinusoid. So the periodicity of cosinusoid with n equal to 8 you can get by setting f naught equal to what? So if I want the periodicity of discrete cosinusoid to be capital 8, okay, or capital N to be 8, how much should be f naught? Can one of you tell? So what I need is cos of 2 pi, okay, f naught into n plus capital N, okay, is equal to say cos of 2 pi f naught into n. So in the sense that what I wish to get is 2 pi into f naught into capital N is in some sense equal to 2 pi, because that's where the cosinusoid repeats. Fine. So to get that, what I need, so f naught equal to n equal to 1 by f, or f naught equal to 1 by n, which is equal to 1 by 8. Okay, if you just set f naught equal to 1 by 8, you will get the, in one period with f naught fundamental frequency equal to 1, you will get 8 samples. Okay, so you take that sinusoid where x of n is equal to cos of 2 pi by 8 into small n. Okay, so you take the sinusoid and sketch it over say 8 samples, n varying from 0 to 7. Okay, and do that for, and you keep for varying f naught or f, you keep a constant here, that is say say f naught here. So this now this say are or some constant, say this is the varying frequency, right? So you can keep say so some k here. Okay, so this k you set it to be k, initially you put 0, okay, k equal to 1, okay, and then k equal to 2. So fundamental frequency only we found like this, and remaining things you can consider as f1. Okay, so you need not put all f naught. Okay, F1, F2, F3 and so on. Okay, so you put k equal to 0, k equal to 1, k equal to 2 and so on up to k equal to 7 and plot for this signal x of n and see how does the frequency varies. Okay, for this signal, and can we have a better definition for the frequency? Fine. Is this clear? What need to be done? Is it clear to you? Yeah, some of you need to tell.
Repeat once.
Can I tell another time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Just
fine.
once repeat it.
Yeah, yeah. So you take a signal x of n, which is equal to cos 2 pi by 8, okay, into k into n. Now what you do is you plot this signal for n ranging from 0 to 7, okay, for first taking k equal to 0, next taking k equal to 1, next taking k equal to 2, and so on until you take k equal to 7. Okay, so through this, what is happening is, see, when you take k equal to 0, you are taking a signal which is x of n is equal to, for first time, x of n equal to, if you take k equal to 0, what is the signal you are plotting? Cos of 2 pi into
0 into
yeah, what is that signal?
1.
1. Okay, first time you are plotting a constant signal. Next you take x of n equal to cos of, okay, 2 pi by 8 into, okay, k equal to 1, directly n. Okay, you plot this, okay, as a next instant. You, if you want, you can tell this is x0, this is x1 and so on, or x2 of n. Next what you take is cos of 2 pi by 8 into, okay, 2 into n. Okay, you plot this signal. So what is happening to x0, x1, x2, x3? What, how will you tell what is the variation that is happening in these signals? The frequencies, what's happening to their frequencies? Their frequency,
number of cycles per second
increases. So their frequency is increasing. So what essentially we are trying to see in this experiment is, we are trying to see if the frequency of the cosinusoid increases, okay, how does the samples look like? Okay, so, and the definition that we have given previously for frequency, is it can be seen here or not? Okay, so that is rate of change increases or not? And can we also give any other definition for frequency? Okay, that we wish to see from this exercise. Okay, so is it clear now what to do or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you take the signal with n, you need to plot each of them for n equal to 0 to 7. Okay, taking k equal to 0 first, k equal to 1 next, k equal to 2, 3 up to k equal to 7. Okay, and then sketch and show me by the next class. So just try to be ready with yourself, and the discussion I will have in the next class will make things like clear on another definition of frequency. Okay, fine. Okay, so before closing the class, I will just give small exercise here. Okay, so on the general signal. Okay, so let x of t be like this. So let us discuss on the continuous time signal. What I want to discuss is, if I make some operations to the signal, how does the signal vary? Okay, so let x of t be like this. Okay, from 0 to 1. So the here I am taking continuous time signal because the definition with continuous time signal is easier. Okay, so, and let its height be anything. Okay, let it be 1 or whatever. Okay, so now what we want to do is, so I will write two things and you try to see how to we would like to do some scaling and shifting operations on the signal. Okay, after doing some scaling and shifting operations, how does it look like is what we wish to see. Okay, so this is one operation. Okay, the other operation is, okay, this is another operation. So in this case what is happening, and in this case what is happening? So can we tell verbally? Okay, and then can we sketch them is the question. So let us take the first one. So what is happening here? Is scaling is happening first or shifting is happening first?
Shifting.
Yeah, shifting is happening first and then scaling. So if I want to write verbally, say I will write here. So shift x of t by 1 unit. Okay, and then scale by 2 units. Is this correct? Whatever I have written for this, is it correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if I first shift by 1 unit and then scale by 2 units, see but when I write it here as an expression, what is happening for the operation I do first will be there for not just for t, but the 2 times t. The operation that I do second is there only for t. Okay, so do you notice this or not? So the operation that we do next is only there for, that is within the brackets of t. If you see, the operation that we do second will be there for it. Okay, the first operation is there for both of them. So what I suggest is, now if we want to sketch it, how does it look like? If you want to sketch it, how does it look like? So first, what should I do? First, what operation should I do for this?
So shifting.
Shifting by 1. Okay, I shifted it. Okay, and then
Scaling.
Yeah, so this is x of t minus 1. Okay, so that is, oh, and then what should we do next? X
Scale
of,
by factor of 2.
yeah, 2t minus 1. Okay, so 1 and so now scale by, so if I scale, how does it look like? Is it correct? What
It will
I'm
get shrink, sir. It will
Yeah.
get shrink, sir.
It shrinks to what? Where should be the starting point and where should be the ending point here?
1 by 2 to 1.
0.51.
1 by 2 to.
Yeah, 1 by 2 to
1.
So if I want to verify whether this is correct or not, what should I do? If I want to verify whether this is correct or not, what do we do? Is there any method you people know to verify this? Means I assume that I have done like this, but I want to verify whether I have done correct or not here. So here y of t, if we assume that if I write this as x of, okay, 2t minus 1. Okay, so now what I say is, say if after say x of t at t equal to 0, okay, after shifting it should be say y of t at t equal to what? I will just see. Okay, the values has to be same. Since say this is the argument for y of t, I will put 2t minus 1 equal to 0. Okay, so that is t equal to 0 and then t equal to half. So I can check whether the x of t at t equal to 0 is equal to y of t at t equal to half or not. And this will help me to verify whether I have done correctly or not. This is y of t. Fine or not? So you people got it. See, 0 point which is there at for x of t. Okay, it has to be there at appropriate location in y of t. So that 0 point, how do I get t equal to 0? If I put here, what is t here? T here is nothing but in x, it is 2t minus 1. Okay, so for t equal to 0 for x of t should be there at t equal to half for y of t. Fine, is this understood or not?
Yes.
So others also should tell. We will.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
So if it is understood, can you tell where will be the ending point for say x of t? Where is the ending point for x of t? It is at
1, sir.
1.
yeah, t equal to 1. So x of t again at t equal to 1. I want to check, verify y of t at t equal to what? I will just check. Okay. So now what will I do to check it? So this 2t minus 1 is equal to, So here this t means 2t minus 1 in terms of x of t is equal to what? Huh?
1.
Is equal to 1. Okay, and then t equal to what? 2 by 2 it is 1. So is it correct or not? So it t equal to 1. Fine. So is it correct or not? Correct? That's what we
Yes.
have got. So this is the way to check it. Okay. So this is, say, if any operation, if I write in words, to translate it into expression, what you should do is, which I describe second has to come within the bracket or close to t. Fine. Which I describe first has to come this side. Why I'm discussing this is, in later point of time, when you especially want to do in a big operation, okay, even this writing primitive thing will take a lot of time. Okay, it may be confusing. So this understanding will help you. Similarly, the check is this. So the if you just check the extreme points in x of t and its like substitution of t here, okay, they should agree. Fine. Yeah, is this clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I suggest, if it is clear, you do the same for this operation. Okay. So in words, you write first what this is. Okay, and then you sketch it based on the like analogy we have done here, and then you also verify its endpoints. Okay, from x of t to y of t. Okay. And verify yourself, and that also you be ready by the next class. Fine. Or will you be able to do it or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Fine then. So then we will close the class here, and we will meet again on coming Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. So do you have any other things to discuss?
Sir, can we upload the class before only, and can we discuss on the regular classes, sir?
I am uploading the classes just after the discussion of the class, right? So you want me to upload the
Yes, sir.
lecture of the class before?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you upload like that, it will be very useful for many of us to revise what are the concepts you are going to discuss. Then we can participate actively in your discussion, sir.
Okay, okay, fine. So we will see that actually. So we will see if I can record a priori and say previously, especially instance, the classes were little more introductory. So I thought of knowing from you and then discussing it. So even now, what I suggest is, see, the problem if I upload anyway, it will be good for me to upload. And also I used to do it in the previous semester. Only thing is, if I upload, I may not discuss the whole class again. Okay, so if I upload, I will only discuss some of the points that you have doubts, and then we will wind up with that. So is that fine?
Yes, sir. That is
Yeah.
fine.
Is it fine for all?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Most of the people, yeah,
Yes,
told
sir.
the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Probably from the next class onwards, we will try that.
Yes,
Sure.
sir. For wireless communication also, Pooja ma'am is following the same method.
Okay.
Like uploading the classes, and then we are discussing in the class.
Okay, good. So we will do that then, probably even for this. Okay.
Yes,
Fine then, fine. Thanks then. Any other things?
Yeah, thank you, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay.
Everything is fine, sir.
Yeah. Bye then. Bye. Thanks. Bye.